When people think of Germans who saved Jews during the Holocaust, one name usually comes to mind: Oskar Schindler. His story became world famous thanks to the movie Schindler's List. But there was another man whose story was far less known. A man who wore a Nazi uniform. A man who worked inside Hitler's war machine. And a man who may have saved even more Jewish lives than Schindler. His name was Albert Battel, and in 1942 he openly defied the SS. Battel was a reserve officer in the German army, and a lawyer in civilian life. He was stationed in the occupied Polish city of Przemyśl. By 1942, the Nazis had begun the mass deportation of Jews to extermination camps. Everyone knew what deportation usually meant. One day, SS units arrived to clear the city's Jewish ghetto. Thousands of people were to be rounded up and sent away. But there was a problem. The only bridge into the ghetto was controlled by Battel and his soldiers. When the SS demanded access, Battel did something almost unthinkable. He ordered the bridge to be blocked. German army troops took up positions and refused to let the SS cross. For several tense hours, armed Wehrmacht soldiers stood against Hitler's own security forces. The SS were furious, but they backed down, for the moment. Battel knew himself the standoff would not last forever, so he moved quickly. Using army trucks, he ordered around 100 Jews and their families brought out of the ghetto and placed under military protection. Many were employed by the army, but Battel stretched the definition as far as he could. Workers, relatives, children, anyone he could possibly justify. They were housed in military buildings and fed by army kitchens. When the SS eventually entered the ghetto, those people were beyond their reach. Hundreds survived because of that decision. At a time when most people were too frightened to resist, Battel had openly challenged one of the most feared organisations in Nazi Germany. The SS immediately reported what had happened. The incident reached high levels of the Nazi regime. Even Hitler learned Battel's name. According to later accounts, Hitler was enraged and reportedly declared that Battel should be arrested after the war was won. But the war was never won. Germany collapsed before that could happen. Battel survived, though his actions remained largely unknown for decades. In 1981, the Israeli Memorial Authority, Yad Vashem, recognised Albert Battel as one of the righteous among the nations for risking his life to save Jews during the Holocaust. But Albert Battel's story is a reminder that even inside one of history's most brutal regimes, there were a few people willing to say no. And on one bridge in occupied Poland, that refusal saved hundreds of lives.